Flow Riders, and welcome to another edition of The Flow. I am coming to you remotely, live from the lovely beaches of Waikiki. Hi, kids.
And I am coming to you from the spooky shores of New England, where it is sunny but freaking cold. So I'm in my sweater. Doc's like living the life in t-shirt and baseball cap.
No, actually, I would rather be there because I want to be in Salem for Halloween.
Spooky.
We had so much freaking fun in Salem. It was legit. Yeah. My favorite part was watching Johnny get scared and run down the block.
It is fun. It is fun. It's okay if it's cold, if it's sunny. So it's like, it's good. It's snowing in Canada, so we'll take the cold sunny weather here. No snow for Halloween. That's not cool.
We'll take it. We'll take it. All right, so what do we have on deck today?
All right, well, I know we've probably done this content in a ton of different ways. I'm pulling it back again because it's still a really big question, especially as more and more people are jumping into podcasting and jumping into video podcasting. I wanted to walk step by step, slowly through our entire start to finish video processing workflow, process, procedure, whatever you want to call it, how we do what we do here in October 2023, so that if people are new or if they're trying to get better at their workflow, they can see how we're doing it, learn how we're doing it, hopefully follow along. And for anyone that's hanging out in our live studio audience, which is part of our process, they can ask all of the questions that they want, and we'll bring that into the show and answer those questions so that it helps everyone. We're walking through how we do what we do here on The Flow.
Okay, I have a love-hate relationship with these questions. I love them because they're hella helpful. Here's why I hate them. After you reach 60 plus episodes, it's second nature. So sometimes it's hard to go back and think of the stuff that is just automatic. But in that, I will say is the absolute first gen. Okay? And I've said this enough times over the week. My crew are super sick of me saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it because it's such a magic statement. I believe it works for everything. I know that people are going to listen to this and they're waiting to hear this magic bullet that's going to take care of everything and make everything easy and smooth and lovely. I want to be the first to dispel that notion. Even if I teach you, and I'm a genius, I'm a stable genius, there's no magic bullet, right? The magic that you're looking for is the work that you're avoiding. And I'm going to keep repeating that until people finally let it soak in. There are no shortcuts to this. The only reason why this looks semi-effortless, and trust me, I said looks, #looks, #semi-effortless, is because we're more than 60 episodes in. So yeah, now some of the guys that you listen to, that you emulate, that you love, these guys are pushing 500, 600, 700, even 1,000 episodes. So with that in mind, you have to know that, like when we were kids, and I don't know if they had these in Canada, there's this little thing you would get from the Montgomery Ward catalog, and it was like a barrel with a little teeny motor, and you go outside and you throw in a bunch of rocks, fill it up with water, and you put this powder in, and you just press
the
go.
rock tumbler?
And you thought
I had a rock tumbler. I think we still have a rock tumbler.
Right away. All right, me too. Right? And that sucker has to spin for like 3 freaking weeks before you see any semblance
no immediate
of
process
gorgeous,
there. Lots of work. Yep.
Holla back. When we used to see that, I thought it was going to be so quick. I'm going to make gems. I'm going to give it to the girls at school and, be the ace cool boy in school. Man, I'm like tumbling. Ain't nothing happening. I'm mad at mom. I'm mad at Santa. I'm mad at Jesus. I'm like, yo, this thing been spinning for weeks. Oh, girl is starting to talk to Luis. I got to get these gems out, and it's just twirling. Ain't nothing happening.
Yeah.
Rock tumble, baby. Rock tumble. Mike Reed said it correct. Rock tumble, baby. That's going to be our new saying around here. Rock tumble, baby. It takes a while to get.
All right. Well, this is a super important thing to keep in mind. Absolutely. And as we go through this process, I want everyone to also remember. So first, rock tumbler. So it's going to take some time. It's going to be bumpy in order to get shiny. And the second thing to keep in mind is there is no perfect pair of traveling pants y'all. This is not
Yes, there is.
going to, this system is not something that, yeah.
Oh, I get
so,
it.
Yeah,
Never
yes,
mind.
there is. No, this system may work.
I was talking about traveling pants.
This system may work really, really well for us and may not be exactly what you're looking for whatever your goals are for your show. But I want you to think it through with us as we are talking this through and think about what aspects of it might help solve some issues for you, or might be something that it's worth trying, or maybe you want to steal the entire thing, and that's great too. But the important thing to remember is that there's not one way to podcast. There are about 500 million different ways that you can podcast. There's no right and wrong. It's an iterative process from start to finish. So the goal is to start and to keep getting better every single time that you do it, and to be paying attention to the metrics that are important to you so that you can make those tweaks as you go forward. But now that we've gotten all of that off the board, step one.
I just got to say, the best thing is in the studio audience, Martin said, "Nice jumper, Kates." And I just love that. Hey, Martin, good to see you, bro.
I'm rocking my ghost jumper today.
And so just to answer Katie's question, because I so missed that awesome cue she set up. I was thinking, oh yeah, Patagonia Skyline Travelers, man, they're the most
Doc's
awesome
like,
pants
everyone
in the
should
world
have
for
a pair
travel.
of those pants.
But
yeah,
that's I got 5 pairs, but that's not what she meant. She meant that it's not one size fits all. So excuse me
the
for
same
missing
pants
that.
are not going to
Okay,
fit everyone.
so-
But yeah, let's dive in. So the first step, and I don't think we should dive into like, although we could, I guess, but the assumption is that you've A, decided that you want to have a podcast, and B, you understand and know who your audience is and what you're going to be talking about. So you need to do that work if you haven't done that work. We're not going to cover that in this particular episode. But once you have all of that, what is the first step, Doc? What did we do first?
To just step back just 1 second, the customer avatar thing is so much easier now because Chad, my favorite assistant, Chat GPT, is very good at helping you have that conversation. And even if you have no experience, here's where people get freaked out. Us marketing people, we went to marketing school. I have a degree for it. Katie might have one. They told us how to find out what a customer avatar. Back then, we didn't call it that. We had buyer profiles or whatever, but it's the same smell. You can just say, hey, Chad, listen, I don't know nothing about this, but Doc and Katie keep telling me I need to find out what my customer avatar is. How do I do that? And it will help you figure it out. So yes, please do that work. It's very helpful. I think Michelle Lawrence is in the chat. She has amazing videos on how to find your customer profile. If you need some help with that, hit her up. She'll probably charge you like $100 and $150 to suss this out with you, but it's worth it. Because once you know your customer avatar, this will be just easier. So don't be afraid. And if you need help, ask Chad, find a person that can do it. And I see the hand raised, Michelle, so appreciate you for being here. She will help you make your mark. Okay, now, I think the first thing is, picking your platform and setting that up, right? So for us, we use Captivate. And I think we came to the decision to use Captivate because they have an amazing growth platform that is designed to help you grow your podcast. There's many choices out there. None of them are right or wrong answers. If you even afraid to do that in the beginning while you figure it out, just post them on YouTube and build a playlist that has those episodes in it. You can get a place to host your audio recordings later.
Yeah. So that's called, if anyone is like brand new, what you're going to be wanting to look for is a podcast host, right? So that's the term that you want to put in if you're like, I have no idea what that is. Again, we recommend Captivate, captivate.fm. They're fantastic. And the podcast host is the company, the platform, the place where when you upload your episode, whether that's audio or video, it's what's going to send it out to all of the different podcast players. So that's the Apple, Spotify, all of those different sites and places where people are going to be listening and or watching. So this show is a little bit different because we're Ecamm and because we're big believers in video and in live streaming. We actually are doubling a bit of the work up front to save ourselves a ton of time later. So we have Captivate, who handles all of our audio, right? So they are only taking our audio file. Captivate is only taking the audio side of it. We also, when we set up Captivate, we set up a YouTube podcast. So we are sending our video through to YouTube. We're literally doing it right now as we are recording. We are live streaming to record here on YouTube. We're using this to build our podcast playlist on YouTube. And so again, YouTube's free and easy to set up. It takes literally seconds to set up, but that is what we are doing. So we are always thinking about the two sides of our podcast, the audio side and the listeners who are listening out on all of those various apps, whatever their favorite is, and the video side of it, which is predominantly on YouTube because the only other video podcast player right now is Spotify. But so few people are actually watching a video on Spotify. The mass majority of them are watching on YouTube. So those are the kind of the first points as you're setting up, and that those decisions on whether or not to video or to not video, to, you know, where you're going to put your video, who your host is, where you're sending it out, that's going to inform all of the decisions down the road. Not that it's not changeable, but you need to like really make, you know, be thoughtful about that decision, because that sets up the rest of your process, right? So two sides of the coin for us, the YouTube side and then Captivate, which handles all of the audio for us.
Yes. I like that. And so the thing about setting up the podcast on YouTube, really, you just make a playlist. And after you have 3 or 4 videos in the playlist, YouTube will give you a checkbox. Do you want this to be a podcast? Check it.
That's literally as easy as it gets. Yeah. Yeah.
Then the second part of that step is you're going to need to put up a podcast image, and it needs to be exactly to YouTube specifications, which, lucky for you, is the same as everybody else. You need a square 3,000 by 3,000 image. That is your podcast image. And then you're going to need episode images, also square 3,000 by 3,000. It can be smaller. It just can't be bigger than that. They don't really do a good job of compressing that, and that has to do with the aggregators, but don't worry about that. Just make the image. Canva, Adobe Express, chalkboard in your backyard, like knock yourself out. However you do it, you do you, boo. You do you. You can literally take a square image with your phone and go and preview on your Mac and adjust it. So let's not get crazy about that. Now, one of the things that is next helpful, I guess, would be your recording process, because I'm seeing a question now about recording it in Ecamm. Before we get into why to record in Ecamm, we will give you a flawless recording of your audio and video. We don't process audio or video in any way, shape, or form. If you give us a decent quality video, you will get exactly that. If you give us a decent quality audio, we'll give you exactly that. We don't squeeze the audio or video at all. We do have to put it in a format that YouTube can understand, but that recording is happening on our drives right now. At the same time, we're sending it to YouTube. So I'm getting recording on my computer. Katie is getting recording on her computer. Those raw files, we could, just gather them to whichever one of us, or in our case, Luis. And at the end, he has those raw files to go ahead and edit the podcast, which is normally, adjusting the volume a little bit and beeping out any of my swear words.
Yeah.
So that part isn't hyper complicated, especially if you're doing it by yourself. But here's where it gets complicated. If you're trying to record in Zoom and then take that and bring it into Ecamm, that's a problem, because of recording quality, we're higher. So to put it in a nutshell, in recording quality, we're Tom Brady and Zoom is your nephew at Junior League. It does not record at the highest quality because it's not designed for that. It's designed to do conferences. And it knows how to do conferences probably better than anybody else, as much as I hate to admit that. But it doesn't know how to record properly. So I listen to pros record their podcast in Zoom, and I'm like, why are you doing that? You're eating 75% of your quality before you drink your coffee. So don't record in Zoom, record in Ecamm. If you want to integrate Zoom, we have about 5-6 professionals off the top of my head that will show you how to do that, but don't record it in Zoom, record it in Ecamm. You can integrate Zoom if you wish.
Yeah. And so again, for our process, we, obviously we're going to use Ecamm because we, the two of us work for Ecamm, and a lot of this was to be able to show you all how you can do a podcast really effectively using Ecamm. But I think what's really important for everyone to know is that the recording of a podcast process is probably one of the kind of hardest things for people to wrap their head around, right? This is the part that is it's the easiest part for us, but it's the most complicated as people are planning and thinking about.
It's the hardest to wrap your head around,
right? Because there's a lot of things that you need to consider, right? So if you are a show by yourself, then you're really only thinking through like your own schedule, the equipment and gear that you have, what kinds of files you want, and where you're going to be sending those files through to, right? So you need to be thinking through frequency, like how often is your podcast going to be? Does that give you enough time in that frequency to be able to record, potentially edit and then release on a regular, consistent basis? And if you have any other elements that come into it, right? So if you are a show that has guests, or you have, you need to give enough time for your listeners or your viewers to be able to call in and leave questions or voice memos or things like that, or you have a co-host, all of those are elements that can throw off the recording process because you might need additional time, or you might need to, be able to sync up calendars between a few different people. So trust us when we say to you that a really easy way to do this is to do what we are doing, which is commit to a time every single week, whatever it is, and live stream your podcast recording process. Even if you are not live streaming it, even if you are literally not doing it publicly, even if you are only live streaming to an unlisted YouTube, that's still going to A, give you a backup file, B, keep it really consistent, right? It gives you a time where you know that you need to show up every single time to do your recording process. And because you're live streaming it and you need to be thinking about the quality as you're recording it, it's actually going to make you a better podcaster and better creator long term, because you're not as forgiving of yourself, right? You're not saying like, oh, okay, well, I'll just say that over again because I could edit that later. I'll just cut that out later because that wasn't exactly what I wanted to say. Oh, I didn't look my best today, so I'll record that later and then re-record it again and then edit it later. Every time you're saying one of those statements, you're adding more work to your workflow and your schedule. Especially because most of us are doing it ourselves. Yes. So if you can force yourself to do the legwork up front so that when you're recording, like what we are right now, we are recording our podcast right now as we are live streaming it. We don't have the permission to say, oh, shoot, the doc said something stupid and I want to cut that. I want to cut that out later. We don't have the ability to say that as easily because we know that we only have a set amount of time to release our final audio and video file. And we know that we've done all of the upfront work and we're here in front of an audience. So, so people are watching and are responding back to us. So that is what has made this process easier for us and more consistent, given us the ability to be much more consistent. And it also gives us a backup because if everything went wrong, if Luis's computer exploded, if, Doc and I both forgot to record our files, if the internet just completely went, down on one end, we would still have the live stream going out to YouTube that then is saved on YouTube, right? So at an absolute bare minimum,
we can pull that back.
The video is in the YouTube house, the video is in Luis's house, the video is in my house, the video is in Doc's house. So we have backups, tons of backups if we needed to edit and be able to use those later. So yeah, I do really think it makes a difference.
I really love that thought process. Yeah, and really, one thing real quick, you mentioned what happens if you say something stupid. Listen, because I'm supposed to be the teacher, my audience absolutely loves it when I say something stupid. They get a kick out of it. I think people are so worried about trying to be perfect. And I had a long conversation with someone about this yesterday, and it's because he's a CIO at a major tech organization, and he was afraid to do his podcast because he's trying to make it perfect. I'm like, if you publish your first episode is perfect, where do you grow? And he was like, what do you mean? I go, yeah. So the reason why, and again, I'm using sports analogy because it works so well. The reason why everybody was over the roof about Tom Brady, he was the last guy picked in the draft. He was the third string quarterback at Michigan. He was not supposed to be the best. Peyton Manning was the number one draft pick. So when he comes out of the gate and all of a sudden he's like Peyton Manning, every mistake Peyton made after that was a big problem because he was the number one draft pick. He cost the most amount of money. Brady was basically free until the second Super Bowl. Then they paid him. But that the idea of if you come out the gate where everybody assumes that you're going to be perfect because you done told yourself you're going to be perfect, you have no place to go if it doesn't work out. When you're just starting out and you just do it raw, you have, hey guys, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I know you need to hear this. So let's get this recorded together. We will get better together and your people will ride with you. And they'll be like, take a left. And you'll be like, left here. Just take that left. Right? So it's much, much better that you do not try to put on the pretense of perfection because you have no place to go after that. It's better to come in raw. Right? So in a conversation like this, if you say, this brand new iPhone 14 Plus, I think this is where, hold on, wait, let me run that back. With the brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max, this is literally the best camera in a smartphone right now. Leave both parts in. Don't waste your time editing that. They will appreciate the realness more so than when you try to take out all the filler words and now you talk like that because you just polished out all the filler words. Just leave.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, again, like with the format that we're doing, if you want to edit and, and really perfect it and, and correct like a mistake like that, you can. So again, the format that we are doing this, where we are live right now, it is Halloween Day, October 31st, 2023. This episode technically doesn't go out to, through our podcast host Captivate and out to all the podcast players until next Tuesday, right? And it doesn't go out to our YouTube podcast playlist until next Tuesday. This is the recording time period that most people would be using as like a non-revealed video, right? So like this would be normally in a normal podcast environment. This would be the time where we would be recording and there would be no live audience. There'd be no live streaming. We would just be recording it to, one of our computers and just the two of us. So we are taking that experience and putting it onto YouTube, in our case publicly, but you can be doing it not publicly. And then we have a week from today until next Tuesday to make all of our edits, which is part of our process, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we have both sides of that coin. We have the ability to be live and we can make a few mistakes and we can edit it if we want to. Or, we could leave it completely raw and not edit it at all and just release it as it is later. But we have that flexibility of those choices because of the format and the workflow that we chose.
Yes, I like I call it the Norman Lear experience because, recorded live in front of a studio audience. That was so much better than the shows that had laugh tracks, which is why all of his shows went on to become the number one shows. And even like Saturday Night Live, which has been running since before Katie was born, they still do it in front of a live studio audience. Now, you watched an edited version, but all that recording happening is real. It brings out some of the best laughs in the industry, like John Hammond, Sweaty Balls. Like it will ever be good because they couldn't keep a straight face because the audience had them laughing. And those moments are legendary, right? So, okay, so after the recording,
well, let's talk
or did we cover everything in the recording space that you think?
Is how we are using Ecamm's interview mode to do this. So we are both calling in to Luis's Ecamm link. So how does that work?
Okay, so Luis has a Ecamm link, and the cool thing about that is before Katie used to call me on my computer directly, and so I'm managing the podcast, managing the questions that are coming in the chat, and trying to stay on topic. So what happens when you have a squirrel brain like myself, that didn't work. And so we had the great idea of let's just call Luis. So we call Luis. So I call Luis, Katie calls Luis. As you know, Luis is not here on screen, but at any moment he can pop his little head up, provided he's not feeding. There you go. So Luis is our producer. He's hiding somewhere. And every once in a while, the little Luigi bubble pops up. And so that makes it easier so that Katie and I can focus on you. give you guys our full attention. And the other cool part is Luis has all of the files right away. We send our backup files to him through a service like Google Drive or Dropbox, and we just use Box. Sorry, the wrong half of that word. It's just a little bit more professional than the other two. But you can use Google Drive, you can use Dropbox, you can even use the iCloud share links. The advantage there is if something in the recording isn't gorgeous, Luis can get better files from us because we are recording native files. So right now, I am recording into my Ecamm, my camera, and my microphone. Katie is also recording into her Ecamm, her camera, and her microphone. For the longest time before the internet got good enough, this is what was known as doing a double ender. So even if you don't use Ecamm Interview, have your guests record themselves with QuickTime so that you have a clean copy of their audio and video before the internet scriggy. Because as Halloween is Halloweening today, it's messing with Katie's video, but you won't see that in the finished show because she will have a clean copy sent to Luis through the Dropbox.
Yeah. And I've actually taken that as a best practice into like any time now that I am a guest on someone's show, on someone's podcast or, video show or live stream. I always record my side of it for a couple of different reasons. One, it makes, it's great to be able to send it as a follow up to them and say, hey, like I recorded this just in case something happened or my internet got bad or you want to be able to use any of these files. And two, if I say something brilliant, again, and we'll talk through this in the next kind of step of this, but I can take that file that I've recorded on my end from the podcast and I can throw it into Descript, visually quickly see that there's where I said that thing that I really loved, clip it up, and I can post that onto my social media and say hey, sneak peek behind the scenes. I was on Doc's show the other day and, I had a really great time. The episode will drop blah, blah, blah day. I am able to populate my own social and be helpful to all of my followers with some pro tips and cool things that I've learned. But it also is, I'm being a great guest. I'm helping to promote a show that I'm on and I'm giving them the extra files that they may not have had. So it's just, Doc and I have both taken this always be recording mindset into, as much as we're doing that. If you make it really easy and you have those files, if something goes wrong, you have them. You have the files and you can figure out a way to fix it, or you can figure out a way to be able to use them in a bunch of different ways. So if you can record video, why are you not? And if you can be recording, whether you're a guest or you're the main person or you're, or you're sitting in the background like what Luis is doing, why not? Have those extra set of files in case someone needs them. Be a good partner to people that you're joining and supporting. So that's the recording, and that's how we are doing it. We are live streaming it using Ecamm with all of the cool graphics that our team designed for us to make it look and feel like a show. And then once we're done doing that, Doc, what do we do next?
I just wanted to throw one last pro tip. If you're doing a show and you're a guest on a bigger show than yours, if you cut the reel and you send it to them, you know what they do? They post it. That is how you get exposure.
Yep.
Okay, anyway. So after everything is posted and sent to Luis to edit, if you're going to edit yourself, I'll give you a couple options that will make your job a heck of a lot easier. Descript is probably hands down the best in the game. It basically, you loaded the files and it will transcribe them into Word documents. And you basically go in and edit a Word document, which at the same time as editing the video to match. If you want to do something more traditional, I would highly suggest Final Cut or DaVinci Resolve or even Premiere. Sorry, Rich. I don't like that one. But none of this stuff is really hard nowadays. And everything that you look up, the first time you do it will be a challenge. The second time it'll be slightly less. The third time it'll be smoother. By the time you do it 5 or 6 times, it'll be damn near second nature. So I know everyone approaches every new tool as this is going to be impossible. But I've seen the way you send emails, and I've seen the little memes and stuff that you post all the time. I remember when that first started, you would probably thought that was impossible. Now you won't stop. So like, don't freak yourself out. In the beginning, everything is going to be a little bit of work and there are no magic bullets. So let that out of your head. Just go through the process. I think between Descript and Final Cut, to me, that's the best pair. But you're going to have to make that choice for yourself. Descript just really does make it easier. I also want to point out, a lot of people are going to think about this, just instantly skip iMovie. It's not worth wasting your time learning that, because when you step up to the next level, you're going to have to start all over again. So anything you learn in iMovie is not going to help you. So just skip it. Just pretend it doesn't exist. Just go straight to DaVinci for free, Final Cut because big massive support works the best with your Macs, and then Premiere for the largest community. So
yeah. And the one thing I'll say too is that, so I am the first to admit that I am not a video editor. I don't have time in my day. It is not a big priority for me. So, I'm super thankful that people like Doc and Luis are here to help me with the entire thing. But on my own, when I am doing my personal podcast for fun, I just don't. And that's okay to make that decision for yourself. Like, it's okay.
It's so okay good.
It's a good podcast. To skip that. It's okay to say like, hey, actually, like, I'm not going to spend that time. So I guess what I would say to you is, if you're trying to improve your workflow or you're trying to kind of just get started with this, time all of those tasks once you've figured out, how to do them, and you've gotten, past kind of the like, what am I doing and wasting a bunch of time as you're learning a tool. Time yourself on it. And if you're looking at your time tracking and you're saying, oh my goodness, like it takes me an hour to record my podcast and 17 hours to edit it in a tool like Descript, that's too long. That's too long. That's too much time. So you need to either figure out how to make it so that you're editing less, how to get better at the tool, or maybe you don't need to be doing editing and you're really overthinking the entire thing. So be really aware of each step of your process and how long it takes and how important that step actually is to hitting your goals. What are you trying to accomplish with your podcast? Does it really need to be edited, or is your time better served to be using a tool like Descript to make short clips and using it as a promotional opportunity that way instead? Or maybe, with a podcast that I do for fun, I started by saying to myself, oh, I'm going to use Descript to clip up awesome things we say during the show. And it was taking me a lot of time. I was having to like scroll through and figure it out. And then I was overthinking it. It ended up being faster and easier for me to either right before we live stream the show or right afterwards, I just go into Ecamm, switch over from widescreen to vertical. So I'm recording in vertical, and I record my short clip independently because I'm still in that mindset. I'm still thinking about what we just talked about. And I record a completely different piece of content, a minute or less. And then I just save that and I either release it, within the next couple of days or in advance. And that process is easier for me than spending a bunch of time editing or trying to go through my episode and clip out the best possible part. So just because it works for someone else or because other people told you that it's really great doesn't mean it's the best idea for you. So I just really think it through and think through what tools you have, what tools you like, and what you're actually trying to accomplish, instead of just being like, well, Doc told me that I need to do this, and Katie said that I should use Descript, so I need to use these tools. You might not. You might be set in a different way that works better for what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you might be cool with not editing. Something you said, which is really good. You're already in the mindset. You're in the frame. Your computer's already set up. Your lights already set up. Everything. I know that I've seen a bunch of clips out here on the internet. It's like, oh my God, I just recorded the most epic interview. And this time I was interviewing Rainy Cages, aka Jeremy Hubble. He is an incredible guy. He used to work at Autodesk back in the day. I learned so much from him, and I know you will too. Look forward to that episode coming out in the next, say, 6 or 7 days, however long it takes me to edit. But yeah, make sure you're following the podcast here. This is going to be mind-blowing. Trust me on that. I'll see you next week. And just post that. Like, I literally just did it, and now I have my promo for the show because you're already still hyped from doing the recording.
Yeah.
Right? So everything is in position. Lighting's all set up. Just go to town.
Yeah, it works with guests too. I was on a show with Maury and Spoon last week, which was just a blast. They are two Ecamm customers, and it was really fun. And they have this like really awesome format where they have an audio only podcast, but they didn't want to miss out on like some of the awesomeness of video, but they're not ready yet to, Spoon is constantly traveling and they just didn't feel like they could have the quality of video that they wanted. So they actually have an animator take like little Bitmoji or Memoji versions or even Simpson style characters of themselves and their guest. And they put the audio behind that and they have it so it looks like these little animations are talking. But that being aside, is just an awesome idea that you could consider if you're not all the way there for video yet. But we stayed on afterwards and they were like, hey, do you have an extra 5 minutes? We just want to, like, while we're all here together, just record a quick promo for the show. And it was exactly like what Doc just said. They were like, like kind of playful banter back and forth. And I think all I had to say was just like, I'm so excited to be here. And it took an extra maybe 5 minutes on the end of my of recording my podcast. It was still within the time frame that they said I was going to be there. Wasn't that big of a deal. And then they were ready to go with a promo video that I could share out and let everyone know and be excited about. So it, again, like if you've dedicated that time to recording your podcast, make the best use of that recording time. Maybe that's the time where you're also going to grab your promo videos or some fun, like behind the scenes content that you might want to share out later. So, I think sometimes we're only in the mode of like, this is my recording time and then this is my editing time. And we forget that like, maybe you don't need all of this editing time and you need to extend out on your recording time, or maybe, you need to go lighter on the recording time so that your editing time isn't as, doesn't feel as daunting. So yeah, really, really think about it.
It's not as long. Correct. I just sent a newsletter out to my people in my newsletter, and it's something that I've talked to my people about a lot. I think it's really important, especially when you're just starting out, to do an audio journal. You could do it with your video camera, just pop yourself up in the bathroom, a la TLC. Oh my God, I hope Katie and Caleb don't mess up my kitchen kind of thing. And just record those. And you're basically just saying how you feel, what's going through your head. You're debriefing, like Tati said in the chat. And you're just journaling your process. And then you set yourself a note in your calendar to go back and listen to that note, say 60, 90, 180 days later. And what you'll find is two things happen. Number one, you just become so much better at speaking to camera and speaking to the microphone because you're doing it every day. But number two, you get to hear your growth. You get to hear the things you were freaked out about 6 months ago. And now you just look at them like, ha, you got this. So I think it's very important. And you don't need any special tool. You have a phone, just go in the bathroom, pop it up and let it go. And if you're still scared of the camera, what's wrong with you? Just press the voice memo and do the same thing. Like I'm going to just do a voice journal. I use app for this now. It's called Audio Pen because it would transcribe that for me. And here's where the cool part, it transcribes it for me in a way that's good enough to send as my email. So I can send my mail to my mailing list and I legit just talk to it. I just go, all right, guys, here's what I'm thinking. And when they read it, it reads like, it was written by Martin Scorsese or something. But yes.
All right. So the next, this is genius. I'm making my mental note where I'm like, Audio Pen must download that later.
DocRock.live/pen.
The next step in the process. So as we said, we finished. So once we're done today's live stream, for example, so we are normally about an hour. Then Luis automatically has the files on his computer because he is producing this. Doc and I upload the extra recorded files that we have on our computer. And then we have a week. So Luis spends the week editing the files as we've asked, according to the specs that we've given him. So the look and feel of what we want the podcast to be. Right. And in that week, Luis is editing. Doc and I are planning for what the next week's content is going to be like and what we're going to talk about, what our topic is, any guests that we want to bring on. We're thinking about future episodes. When we get the files back from Luis, we do a couple different things. So the final video file that Luis edited gets uploaded to a separate YouTube playlist that's different than our live recording playlist. It is our YouTube podcast playlist. And we put, all of the correct information, we fill out all of the fields on YouTube. So that goes out to YouTube. So that's a check on our video side of it. And then Doc takes the audio version of that, right? And then you send it through Auphonic, Auphonic,
yes.
Auphonic. And then that gets uploaded into Captivate, with all of the show notes and the correct information and everything that we need. And that goes out to all of the podcast players, audio only. So that by the following Tuesday, so we give ourselves a week, we have gone from live, gritty, live in front of our studio audience, fun banter at the beginning, questions at the end, to a slightly more produced podcast, but still we leave in a lot of kind of that authentic, raw side of ourselves. But those episodes tend to be a little bit shorter. That's the full cycle. The only thing I didn't mention is that we do send it through Descript, as we've talked about. And what we're doing with Descript is a couple different things. One is that when I literally drag and drop the edited version into Descript, it shows the video on the right-hand side and the text on the left-hand side. And I go through and just correct anything, like when Doc is speaking in like Japanese and Descript has a panic attack, or every now and then, a word will get, is spelled incorrectly, or is like a brand name and Descript didn't know what it was. So I clean up a little bit of the text. And when I'm done doing that, I go up and I download it as subtitles. And I take that subtitle file and I upload that to YouTube as my closed captions file, so that I have a cleaner, nicer closed captions file. I also use that text to easily be able to identify the various chapter markers for the YouTube video, right? Because people may not want to watch the entire episode. Maybe they just want to hear about, one element of it. So I add the chapters then into our YouTube file. I can do this even after I've published it. If I'm running a little bit later, I need to do it after I can do that. But those are the additional 2 steps I get from Descript. And then if I have time and I'm feeling like really on top of the world with it, I'll go through and pull out a couple of different clips that then we can use, on Instagram or on TikTok or on YouTube as YouTube Shorts. And those are, again, I just highlight the quote or the thing that I think is awesome. I try to keep it 50 seconds or less. And when you highlight it, you can actually just clip it as its own little mini video. Descript does that at the push of a button. And then I download those as video files and I send those over to Caleb so that they can schedule those out to go out across our social media. So, and sometimes I don't have time to do that step in the week, and that's fine. That's something that I'm working on, and we'll get there as things go on. But just so that you will have visibility that a week goes by really fast, and some weeks are way crazier and more busy than others. And some things sometimes will drop off that workflow. But the important thing is we live stream the episode and we get the episode out the following Tuesday. And, and then anything else that we're able to do on top of that is great and, helps build our process. But we know that that's the most important thing that we're trying to do, is make sure that we get it all out. But that's it, right? So the tools we're using: Ecamm to record and live stream and to get all of our awesome video footage; Descript, which allows us to grab all of the, transcript, to be able to clip things up really easily, to be able to take that copy if we wanted to turn that into a blog post or do anything else with it, we can. We use Auphonic, which helps clean up all of the audio. And we use Captivate, which is the tool that helps us send it out to all the different podcast players. And then we use YouTube, which again is free. And everyone listening and watching should absolutely have a YouTube channel if you don't have a YouTube channel already. And then many times we use a tool called Speedify for days like today when the internet just goes to heck in a handbag and we need to have an extra solve. But that's our suite of tools, really. I mean, and as Doc is showing you today, like, we've done it on location. We've streamed in hotel rooms and Airbnbs. There are days where everything goes crazy here in the office. I've done this show and many other shows with just my phone as a camera and a smaller, cheaper microphone than what I'm using here. In the end, what matters is being able to create the content and to reach your audience and to help them much more than all of the other stuff.
Yeah, it's just doing it. Come January, we're going to be able to do the flow live from the speakers room at Podfest. And the only thing we're going to have is my ObsBot 360 Pocket or our Insta360 link, and this pair of DJI or Rode mics, whichever one I carry. I switch back and forth because I want people to see that they both work. And Katie and I are going to be able to sit at a table in the middle of a conference room and do a podcast, and you'll hear the ambience of people rocking around, but we'll still sound good. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. In theory, we could do the same thing with just an iPhone and a decent set of either Rode or DJI mics. Laura from Shore, we showed this a lot at Creator Camp. She records her entire podcast with the tiny little Shore mic in the bathroom at whatever hotel she's at, because she, like me, is on the road doing the work for the company. We're doing the Lord's work while I'm doing the twins' work.
The Lord and the twins' work. Yeah.
And the twins' work. And you could just literally lock yourself in the bathroom and go to town. Luis has done entire live streams from the bathroom in the hotel.
Or from in your car.
And the bathroom in an Airbnb.
Yep, absolutely.
It's so it doesn't have to be crazy. It has to be relatable. I think that's more important. People say, well, I want it to be perfect. How about I want it to be relatable? And Tati mentioned it before. It's more relatable. Now, I did throw something in the chat that's somewhat of a bonus for you today. And I'll answer a couple of questions.
I want to go through the questions while we're still recording so that people have them.
Because I see Anita's question. Yeah. I like to take transcript that Katie has, or I can just do it with the video that we've posted. And I can tell Chad GPT, as Rich called him, Chad GPT, so he's our Indian friend. I say, take this video, give him the video link. Now you have to have GPT-4 for this, which means you have to be on Plus. If you're not spending that $20, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Stop drinking Starbucks and spend that $20. That $20 is worth it. Anyway, I say, take this video, give it the link, summarize it, and create a podcast style show notes. Pull out 3 to 5 main points. Also, create several 200-ish character social posts, and it will do it flawlessly. When it gives you the links, those links are real, but they don't actually work because it doesn't know how to do that. But all you do is paste that into your platform and highlight it, hit Command K, add a link as Command K in just about everything, and then go ahead and put it in real link. It's done. It is so amazing what it can do right now. And the other thing that I was laughing at you, I was testing out ChatGPT voice assistant, and I told it to translate something for me in Japanese that I know exactly how to say. And it was like, yeah, sorry, I can't go out tonight. I have to study for this test. And I said that a lot. I still went out. It is freaking flawless. It is freaking flawless. So trust me, please don't be afraid of this tool. If you want to know more about that, please hit me up. I've been teaching a lot of folks about AI lately. So anyway, Anita says, dun, 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 can it be done without streaming, recording, and interview on Ecamm? You do whatever you want, but your life will suffer. What you don't have to do, is you don't have to be live. Please understand that. We could just ignore you guys and be in a private thing and do this exact recording. The editing process will be the same. What you will be missing from doing it live is not feeling like you're talking to yourself, number one. And number two, lovely questions from our friend Anita. So if you weren't here, if we weren't doing this live, Anita, you couldn't ask that question. And that builds your community, and community greater than audience. Always, hands down. Ask Tatiana about that. Ask Tatiana, community greater than audience. So please take this perfection thing. I know where this question is coming from. I'm a doctor. Throw it out the window. Your perfection will be your downfall. Be real and do it live.
I mean, honestly, on a totally serious, we want you to succeed note, if not Ecamm, then whatever tool allows you to capture quality audio and video that then you can use to create your podcast. However, that works for you. The worst case scenario is you find a tool, and we've been bad-mouthing Zoom in this particular one, but something like Zoom where it's not made for that, and then you're spending money and time and effort and creating great content, and you're not getting the quality and the level of professionalism in the files that you have, and then you can't edit it. You can't edit something if it is beyond that point, right? And I did this last week. Luis was just saying this to me, so I'll throw myself under the bus, but I had forgotten to turn on autofocus or whatever it was on my camera, and my camera, which is a high quality mirrorless camera, my face was not completely clear, right? So it was focusing on something else instead. And so I had slightly blurry video. Luis can't fix that. No matter like how incredible he is, it was recorded badly, right? Same as if I like buy a really like awful microphone or I'm using my built-in microphone, like I can clean up a little bit of that audio, but it's never going to make it sound as good as when Doc's using his Shure SM7B microphone, right? So like you want to give yourself as much of a chance as possible. So find the tools and the equipment that gives you the highest possible quality that you can afford and record as many different, options as you can the one time so that you can actually have a chance to be able to do any editing that you want to do or make it the way that you want it to look. Because the worst case scenario is you record one file, it's uneditable, and then you have to re-record and no one wants to spend that extra time. So yeah, I don't like, if not Ecamm, then something as good as Ecamm. Like you really want to be able to find something that works and makes it easy for you to get the quality of files that you need.
I feel confident in telling you the other options you have available to you. You can use OBS, which is completely free, but the work to get to what we do, much harder, not very Mac oriented. It's a PC program that's been restapled to work for Mac. So that just becomes a challenge. And this is where people get stuck. You could use a web-based recording system like StreamYard. And again, it works super simple. Your quality will not be the same. Because it's going through the web and there's some web processing, you're not going to get the same level of quality that we're giving. So yes, you can use those things. And honestly, trying to use Zoom is like saying you're a vegetarian because you just only eat potatoes. That's not, yeah, it's not, it's almost the same, but it's not. So just because you're not eating meat does not a vegetarian make you. You have to be eating something that's properly going to sustain you, and just eating potatoes ain't going to work. We figured that out in history before. So yeah, it just doesn't work. Okay. So Tati has a really good question. It says, please say more about Auphonic. Listen, you don't have to use Auphonic. I use Auphonic because I love it. But what it does do is it does an auto pass and cleans your audio. It won't take out absolute rubbish, but it will make a decent audio file sound better, right? It does some magic, but it's not completely magic. The reason why I use Auphonic is simple as pie. I am professional recording editor type person. When I sit down to do EQ, it's a half an hour to an hour for each person. So it would take me 2 hours to EQ Katie and I, because I'm a Virgo. I'm a perfectionist, right? The second part of it is I would do the same thing for the compression, and then I would spend a little less time on normalization, but I just over tweak on it. So the reason why I use Auphonic is the same reason why I take my car to the car wash place versus me detailing it. Me detailing the whip is 5 hours. The car wash is 20 minutes. So I do it to stop me from being me, but you don't have to. Just trust me, it does sound better. It's a one-click process. It's super simple. I can teach a chimpanzee to use it in 35 seconds or less. Okay, it's literally upload, select, go, done. Marcio says, why did I leave my water bottle in Massachusetts? Oh, sorry. He says, what precautions do you need to take when there's more than one guest? I'm going to ask you, why do you need multiple guests? Are you doing it because you're trying to be cute? Or do you really have to use multiple guests? And I'm saying that out of pure seriousness, because if you're just starting out, you should definitely not be doing multiple guests until you have tested your ability to do that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Then after that, every guest has to have gorgeous internet. Every guest has to have gorgeous mic. Every guest needs to know how to do a double ender flawlessly. And then the only other precaution is now you need a complicated interface like a Rodecaster Pro or something of that nature so you can manage it. So if you're just doing more than one guest because you think it'll make you look cool, I would shy away from that. If you really have to do more than one guest, fine. Just understand that your learning process is going to be completely different. Some people learn to drive at 16. Some people learn to fly a plane. You're just on fly a plane mode. So it's just going to take you longer. There's nothing special. There's no magic. There's no precautions. You're just going to have to go through the process of learning how to do that.
Yeah, this is a great question from Kathy, who wants to know what's the best way to pull audio from an Ecamm recorded video podcast.
Oh, I missed that. Super simple. I have a shortcut on my phone and on my Mac that just says extract audio. But open up the video file in QuickTime, go down to export audio only. Pow, done. Simple. But I have a shortcut that you just literally press the button and it'll do the same thing. I've made a video on how to create that shortcut. I'll show you again in the Discord, Kathy, because it's super simple. I think I can share the shortcut with you, but your location of file might be different for me. But literally, open it in QuickTime, scroll down to export audio only, game recognized game. Okay, so Lloyd says, my hotel bathroom has echo and not very attractive in this case. You can make it attractive. Luis did it. It's super simple. By adjusting your situation, first of all, the hotel normally has pretty walls. This cord is not quite long enough to reach the bathroom. I would just take you in there. But I'm in the hotel right this very instant. I am sitting here in the lovely Courtyard Marriott in beautiful Waikiki, and it's just fine. You don't know that until I do this. So just frame yourself in a position where you don't need to see all of that. And for echo, you're in the shower. So you have the shower curtain. Position yourself so that your shower curtain is behind your camera and your mic. And then put towels on the surface, because normally you're trying to use the counter. The counter is solid fake granite and the mirror is solid glass. So you put towels on the counter, put dirty laundry in the sink. Make it dry first, but put dirty laundry in the sink so that takes the bowl echo out, and then place a couple of towels against the mirror. They don't have to be draped down the mirror, just backed up, because those towels will remove the reflection. But like I believe Katie might have just said, or somebody, the bathroom lighting is gorgeous, which is why Luis did it in the bathroom. And so what he did was he took the Zoom A4N and sat it on top of a towel. Okay, one last question, and then I'm so happy you asked this question. I have to take a breath because I am known to be an Apple fanboy. And I wear that badge proudly. Why can't I be a fan about the, Manchester United and the Raiders and the Celtics and have the same level of affinity for my product? I do. So I don't know why people say that like it's a bad thing. Continuity camera is a piece of sandwich. Substitute that word. It is not reliable. Do not use it. You are a professional. It's a shortcut. Shortcuts for moms who need to talk to their kids. Shortcuts for dads who need to talk to their kids. Shortcuts for kids who need to talk to their parents or their grandparents. Or you need to hit up Meemaw every once in a while. Shortcut for I'm in a hotel and I need to do a meeting and I don't have my Osmo or whatever with me. Fine. But a stream or a broadcast that is your brand, unless your brand is not, I wouldn't even put that on Goodwill. What company do I hate more than anything? Walmart. Walmart use continuity camera. Everybody else skip it. It is not bait. It's a cute idea. It works for FaceTime calls, but not for this. It's unreliable. Crashes all the time. It's a pain in the butt to get started. And you have Ecamm. Ecamm can read this camera when you plug in the wire. Why would you not just plug it in with the cable? Right? A 15-foot, AKA 3-meter cable will work perfectly fine. Anything longer than that, you have to buy an active cable. Just use the cable. The cable is $8. Why are you trying to be cute? There you go. That's my public service announcement. I said this in the community the other day, and I had so many people that's like, okay, I'm glad you finally gave me permission to give up because this is a waste of energy. Because they've been trying, because, Apple said it would work, and, people in the community said it would work. And trust me, I have tested it ad nauseum. It's not
reliable.
horrible.
Yeah.
Camo is worth the money. Shoot is worth the money. Eden and Michael are both in the community to answer your questions, and just be a good citizen and get an app that works and know that you have people to back you up. No one at Apple is going to call you and tell you how to use community better for your stream, because they didn't make it for that. They made it to connect with loved ones, as the commercial shows. So when you tell them, the minute you say to the person on the phone at Apple, hey, I'm trying to use this for a live stream situation, they're going to be like, what? Oh, yeah, sorry, we don't know how to do that. And then all bets are off. So just stop. I'm sorry. I'm a
No, I
factual
love it.
individual. That was
We did
dope,
it.
Case.
We did it. So please know.
I'm going to change it to a love relationship with that question.
Please note that, and hopefully you've realized this by this point because we're, nearing or over 60 episodes at this point. But, really, like, the goal of this podcast for us was to try all of the things and to think through all of the different pain points that you might have as you're getting into the world of podcasting. When we started this, I had no idea how a podcast worked or like anything about podcasting other than listening to a few favorite shows myself. So, your questions do matter. We are right there with you, pushing all of the buttons and testing everything out to see how it works. And if we can do this every single week, and like if I, with no background in this whatsoever, can do this, and most of the stuff that I'm doing is like the stuff that I am recommending to you to do, I know that you can do this. So if there's any other questions that come up, or if, you're like, hey, I tried this and this didn't work 100% for me, like, let's talk through it some more, because we'd love to see everyone succeeding in the space of video podcasting. It's not going anywhere. It continues to get, more and more popular and more people jumping on board. So let's all support each other and do our best to just get a little bit better every single time that we work on these processes, or we think through like how to do a show. Just get a little bit better. Try not to do all the things at once.
You just gave me a brilliant idea. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this gem. Katie just gave me a brilliant idea. So I'm Doc, and I want to start a podcast, and I have zero experience. I mean, I have less experience than my sister Tiana. Do a 10 episode, this is how I do it, just testing podcasts that you don't necessarily have to release to the public, but you're just going to record 10 episodes and listen to them with yourself and your best friends. Make sure you buy them alcohol so you're going to be insufferable. Because Marcio said this, I know there's things, I've been studying podcasts, but I know there's things that you can only learn by doing it. So just do it. And if you're afraid about that, doing it not being right, cool. Create the mock podcast that you literally just have as private YouTube videos, and you share it with your friends and family and see what they think. Or send it to us. We'll feed it back. We'll take a look at it. The Ecamm community loves you. So just, if you're still chicken, stop being chicken and just do it. Just do it with a group of friends. Like, I'm going to do my podcast episodes in the Ecamm community or in the Ecamm Discord. And I'm not publishing it. These are my practice sodes. It'll probably take you 3 and you'll be done, because you'll just see it ain't that big a deal. But there you go. Let's just do it. Let's give ourselves that. Do that by the end of the year, or I'll stop being
Doc is going to write you all off as friends if you don't give it a try. You're out of the fam.
See, ask Tati. It sounds mean, but I'm actually a gigantic, nice person, right, Tati? I need her to back me up.
It's very true. Very, very true. I can back up on that one.
That was cool, Case. I really appreciate this. So I actually like this so more than I thought. I was like, oh, it's kind of hard to remember all the weird things that we do. But as you talk it through, you start to remember them. So I appreciate you guys. Captivate really helps us do this. So we'd like to thank them for sponsoring this show. They are super easy to use. Link is in the description. Just go there. It's a lot of stuff you'll see. You don't have to press all those buttons at first. The forms are very easy to fill out. They do have a onboarding situation if you need, but we've done episodes on how to set up everything with Captivate. They're quite amazing. And so we'd like to thank them for sponsoring this show. Also, we use Descript, as we talked about earlier. And you can get to Descript through links that'll be in the description as well. But Descript is super easy. If you know how to edit a Word document or a Google document or Pages, you already know how to edit a video in Descript. So thank you to both Captivate and Descript. Now, you can find out more about us at flow.ecamm.com. That's flow.ec2ms.com, or wherever your podcast getting is got. We appreciate you for coming through, and the live taping every week at noon. I said that, right?
Is it noon or it's 2? Noon. You're correct.
I always
Well,
mix
we're
them
about
up,
to
man.
hit the
You guys with these
yeah, we're about
clocks.
to hit the time change again, the fall back or whatever it is. So it's gonna get all messy again for you, but hopefully for the last time.
Yes. That was dope. All right, Flow Riders, here it is. Where's my nephew? He's gonna get ready for this because he loves to hear when Tio says this every week. Flow Riders out.